Well, good afternoon and welcome. My name is Eric Worf. I'm the Executive Director of the North Carolina Youth Orchestra, and welcome to our very first Backstage with NCYO event. Now, this series is a brand new series that we've started with the goal of trying to make sure that we help connect parents and students that are interested in music and studying music and pursuing music as a part of their life, have all the resources and information that they have necessary to make those decisions as they move on from high school and into college, as well as helpful resources that are supplementary as a part of their lives as musicians as well. So today's event, our very first one, is about college admissions, auditions, as well as college life as a student that's involved in the music department. To get started today, we are going to just welcome our panel. First of all, thank you so much for being here today. I'll introduce each one. Pedro Maya is a violin professor at App State. Thank you so much for being here. As well as Alex D. From App State as well, the orchestra director. The chair of the Department of Music at UNC Charlotte, Joe Skillen, is here. And then Nick Lewis is here representing UNCG, as well as Josh Bishop from East Carolina University. Did we have too many chairs? Is there one extra? I think we did. Okay.
I think that's for you.
Oh, that's for me. Okay, there we go. Awesome. Okay, come on in. Perfect. Well, more is better than less. To get started with this event, I thought it would be really great to have a perspective of a professional musician who is now actively living that at the highest level, share their experience of the importance of that process of transitioning from high school to college, what it was like for them, and the role that college played in their life to then pursue a career in music professionally playing in an orchestra. And who better to have speak in that topic than the world-famous Andrew Fiorova of the Charlotte Symphony Orchestra. So Andrew, take it away. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello, everyone. As Eric said, my name is Andrew Fiorova. I'm second horn in the Charlotte Symphony. I also teach at Davidson College. I have a private studio of about 15 students at home as well, so a little bit of my background in terms of how hands-on I am on the performance side, the education side. I did go to school for music. I went to my undergrad at the University of South Carolina, did a master's at the Juilliard School in New York City, and then came promptly to Charlotte immediately afterward, and have won a couple of professional jobs specifically over the course of my career. So I've been through the ringer of all of it. I've taught on the college side. I also run a podcast that interviews college professors across the United States to get a little bit of a feeling for where they land in terms of what they think is important and what they encourage. So Eric had asked me to speak a little bit about my perspective on some of these things. I'm not going to speak very long. I decided to just narrow it down to one piece of information for each thing that he tried to have me talk about. So he wanted me to talk about college applications. My piece of advice is start early. The best piece of advice I can possibly give you. You're going to discover once you start that you wish you had started sooner. Okay, there's nothing wrong with starting very early and thinking about this stuff ahead of time. I'm preaching to the choir. You wouldn't be here if you weren't thinking about it ahead of time. The second thing was a little bit about my own audition experience. I'll go ahead and keep it relative to college. My first audition at the University of South Carolina, I was terrified for. But an overly confident, terrified child nonetheless. It was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I think it's easy to build it up in a way that all you think about is all of your flaws. And you forget that you have a number of things that you should be proud of in your playing. So my number one piece of advice when it comes to auditioning is focus on what you do well, not what you think you can't do well. All right? Focus on what you know and make that available to the people who are listening. The last one was the impact that college has on pursuing a career in music. I could probably talk for the entire hour on this one. Obviously, it's substantial. I wouldn't be where I was today. I'm very proud of everything that I've accomplished over the course of my career. I could not have done that without the help that I got from the University of South Carolina and the Juilliard School. It would have been, I want to say impossible, probably so. Yeah. It is an extremely important decision and not something that anyone should take lightly. That's really all I have to say.
Thank you. Sorry, I was welcoming more guests. And, that was fantastic. I appreciate the anecdotes. So this is a subject matter of high import, and so we appreciate all of that. And I would like to turn to our panel now. and give each person an opportunity to just give a little bit of a pitch, a little bit about your university, your school, your music department. If you could take maybe three to 5 minutes or so, that would be awesome. We could start at the end there with App State.
Sure. So up at App State, we're in Boone, in the beautiful mountains up in Boone. The leaves are beautiful right now. Highly recommend a trip up the mountain. The Hayes School of Music is a very comprehensive program. We have a wide variety of majors. We have music performance, music education, music industry studies, which is things like recording engineering, how do you do these microphones, merchandising, doing marketing, being contract lawyer, how do you write up contracts? You'd have to go to law school after, but it gives you an idea of what's the music side of all these things. We also have music therapy, which is a wonderful degree using music to help people in their lives, whether it's through illness or through mental illness or how to overcome all sorts of things, using music as the medical science behind that. We also offer a minor in music, which is our minor. We've kind of redone it recently where it's very much a build your own adventure kind of music minor where you have to hit 16 credits, I believe it is, but you can determine what route you want to take to get to those. So if you're more interested in studying the theory and the history and taking more classes, you can do that. If you'd rather just play a lot, you can do it through lessons and ensemble participation. Or some combination of the two, whatever suits your fancy. We also offer composition degree and a sacred music degree. So we have a lot of options available. And if you don't want to do any formal type of thing and you just want to play in some ensembles while you're in college, we offer that as well. All of our ensembles are open to any person on campus. You don't have to be a music major or a minor or anything like that. Everybody is welcome. Some require auditions, some don't. So we have a good mix of whatever level of involvement you want. We have something to suit that.
Thank you, Joe.
Great. Hi, everybody. I'm Joe Skillen. I chair the department at UNC Charlotte. So I had the shortest drive to get here today, and glad to be with all of you. I came to North Carolina in 2020 from Louisiana. I had been in Louisiana at LSU for 22 years, and one of the things that I really like about the UNC system generally is that every one of the schools you'll hear about today has sort of a different flavor, a different personality, and you have to kind of find the place where you fit in best. And that's a really wonderful thing about our state. I'll tell you a bit about what a fit at UNC Charlotte might look like. We have a Bachelor of Arts degree. We have a Bachelor of Music degree that has a performance component and music education. Our Bachelor of Arts degree also has two components. It's meant to be a liberal arts degree with a music sort of gravitational center. And we find that a lot of students will double major with that degree. And we have another concentration in contemporary practices and cultural rhetoric, which is an even shorter double major degree. So you could actually get two bachelor's degrees, one in music and one in another field, using this second BA concentration that we have. And we're having a lot of success with people that are looking into that type of thing. And a number of our graduates, just like any of us could say, have gone on to performing careers, teaching careers, but then some have gone on to become medical doctors, and others have become lawyers, and others have used their double majoring to become an engineer with sort of a musical kind of focus, or they've done production things. We also have music entrepreneurship studies that will allow a person to pursue sort of their creative and business-minded pursuits with all the things that the city of Charlotte has to offer. The music festivals, and the various partnerships that we have with the different performing organizations and different educational organizations that you're probably aware of, one of them being this one. We have a side-by-side performance coming up on our campus. I think it's on the 20th?
November 20th.
20th, okay, so November 20th. So you'll see me again then, and we'll probably talk more about our programs, but you'll have a chance to interact with our faculty at that point. But the main thing that I want you to know about UNC Charlotte is that sort of like you choose your own adventure, we just have different adventures. So a little more flexibility is in place for these different Bachelor of Arts degrees that we have. And then you can also get as serious about music as you'd like in our performance and in our music ed degree. We do undergrad only, so that you'll be guaranteed that you'll be in an environment where you'll be focused on as the only type of degree in the institution at that time, rather than fighting for space with, say, grad students or something like that. that. So that's another thing that makes us a little bit different, perhaps, than some of the other groups up here. So I'll pause with that.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe. Nick?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here today. My name's Nick Lewis. I come from the University of North Carolina at Greensboro, just down the road from 85. Man, it was a trip today with all the rain. I got to say, one of my favorite things about Greensboro is how centrally it's located in the state. It affords us a lot of opportunity to be able to come out to places like Charlotte, to drive over to places like Boone and Raleigh and Durham. I'm a performer. I'm a trombone player. I play regularly with Greensboro, Winston-Salem, Raleigh, Durham, Salisbury symphonies. So being situated in Greensboro affords you a lot of opportunity to maximize the potential in the state of North Carolina. So a little bit about UNCG. We're a fairly large music school with approximately 550 total students, about 375 undergraduates, 175 graduate students. Our degree programs are a Bachelor of Arts, which is a music-focused liberal arts degree. The majority of the students in that program like to pair that degree with either a double major or a minor, and the program is built in a way where it can foster that communication between different disciplines quite easily. We have a Bachelor of Music Education that graduation from that degree program boasts 100% job placement in the state of North Carolina from 1 year after graduation. Our Bachelor of Music Performance in areas string, wind, percussion, music composition, jazz studies. I'm sure I'm forgetting a couple of them, but Bachelor of Music Performance, comprehensive. And then we have several post-baccalaureate programs as well, certificates in all different kinds of disciplines for once you have finished the program, and you kind of, well, what step is next? Where do I go after this? We have PBC programs in performance, education, licensure in case you were in a performance degree and you're saying, well, you know what, I might want to go on and teach. Well, we have a certificate after the program in licensure where you can get your teaching certification in North Carolina very easily. And yeah, that's UNCG.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick. Josh?
Hi, everybody. My name is Joshua Bishop. I'm the Assistant Director for Student Services at the East Carolina University School of Music. I'm the third low brass player on this panel as a euphonium player next to a trombone and tuba player, and I think I had the farthest drive of anybody today. The ECU School of Music represents Eastern North Carolina, as does the entirety of East Carolina University. Pretty much anything east of 95 is what we represent. And our School of Music has 4 undergraduate degree programs. We have a Bachelor of Music in Music Education, we have a Bachelor of Music in Music Performance, Music Theory and Composition, and then similar to App State, we also have a Music Therapy program, which is, in my opinion, our coolest degree program. We also offer a music minor, which, similar to App State's, is kind of a build your own adventure music minor. Theirs is 16 credit hours, ours is 18 credit hours. You take lessons and ensembles and a couple of your core music curricula. Our graduates, similar to my colleagues on the stage, our graduates are teachers in the state, are therapists, are performers, are composers, and I think one of the big selling points for us is a little bit of a pro and a con, and I'll be honest about that. Is the how rural Greenville, North Carolina is. The pro or the con is that we're kind of out there. It's about a 3-hour drive from here, 3.5-hour drive from here. But the pro is affordability of the university, is the affordability after you move off campus, after you live on campus and move off campus, and the attention that our students get from our faculty. We only have about 250 total students in the School of Music. And so each one of our students gets that one-on-one attention that I know that a lot of you guys, and especially you parents, probably want your student to get. We're able to we're able to offer that size, as well as a number of scholarship opportunities as well through the School of Music. So glad to be here, and yeah.
Thank you, Josh. Appreciate it. Thank you, panel. Now, as we move into the rest of our questions that I have prepared for you all, I realize that some of these answers may be similar. So to kind of keep things from being redundant, I'll probably just call on one person at a time, but then by all means, pipe up and follow up if you have something that maybe slightly is different about your college or university, or if you have some follow-up at all. So I'll just go in reverse order this time. So Josh, I'll start with you. What qualities does ECU in the School of Music look for in applicants, and are there common things that you're specifically not looking for that maybe are common misperceptions that students need, 25 extracurriculars or things like that?
Yeah, so for us, my responsibility at ECU is I handle all of our auditions. I'm the person who organizes our audition days. I'm the person who handles kind of the first point of contact for entering the School of Music. And I like to have a little catchphrase, and I call it the 2 Ps, and that's preparedness and positivity. And when students come to audition for the School of Music, or want to be just maybe a member of the Marching Pirates, or do a degree program, whether that's as a major or a minor, I'm looking for positivity and preparedness. Do you have a positive attitude? Do you act like you want to be where you are? You would be surprised, and I think my colleagues can agree, as to how many times that doesn't happen, where a student shows up and you can very easily tell that they don't want to be there. You can tell it by their attitude, by the way that they present themselves, and a number of things. So we really want our students to be positive. We enjoy music. We all have built careers out of music. We want you to enjoy music as well. And so that positivity is a major factor. The other thing is preparedness. We want you to be prepared when you come audition, when you come be a part of an ensemble, and preparedness is not the same for every student, right? Progress is not linear, and especially for us in Eastern North Carolina, where some of our programs are some of the local high school programs are top in the state, and others just quite frankly aren't. And so for us, preparedness means a little bit of a different thing to each individual student. But have you practiced your audition repertoire? Have you have you taken steps before the audition to make sure that you're ready for the audition? We're not asking you to be the best performer or the best section leader of your marching band or section leader of the orchestra or anything like that. We just want you to act like you want to be there, be positive, have a positive attitude, have a positive mindset, and then also for whatever your level is, are you prepared? Have you practiced your audition repertoire? Have you thought about why you want to be there? Are you prepared to kind of answer some questions and of course do the actual audition? So that's kind of what we look for at ECU is I like to say the positivity, and then the 2 Ps, and then the preparedness.
Briefly, I want to give each person a little bit of time. Nick, any follow-up there?
I just have to echo what Josh says. Kindness, it doesn't matter if you are a musician, or you're going to be a banker, or you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer. It doesn't matter what you do. Kindness will get you very far in life. Being a good person will get you very far in life. One quality that we've kind of pinpointed that we like to look for in students is curiosity and openness. Very few people come to college and know what they're looking for, and then that's what ends up being the case 40 years down the road, right? When you come to college, you have to come with an open mind. You have to come being curious, because you're going to learn a lot. And you're going to learn a lot about other things, but you're going to learn a lot about yourself. So.
Cool. Joe, Alex?
Yeah, so I'll agree with what I heard so far, and absolutely that's all true. Some things that maybe it might be a little news breaking about UNC Charlotte is that we are rapidly growing. And so we exceeded 32,000 students this year. And one thing that's really nice is that we're a small-ish department on a very large campus, so we have an opportunity to take advantage of the resources of a large campus. The flip side of that, getting back to what Mr. Firova mentioned, starting early really matters a lot at UNC Charlotte because we can guarantee, because of the influx of the number of applications that take place at Charlotte, if you've applied by November, we probably will have an answer for you by March. If you wait later, it's hard for us to get you in the queue just for acceptance to then discuss the outcome of your music audition. So the starting early is a really important thing. So if you could think about November, because then you also enter into the dorm situation. Enough beds for all the people that are going to be there. So I just want to kind of plant that seed in addition to what a successful auditionee looks like. The starting early really matters specifically for campuses that are space conscious. And because of that, I'll also say that the GPA requirement for students to be accepted at Charlotte is creeping higher as well. I can speak to what those averages are if you'd like, but that's just something to be aware of as well. So there's a lot of great resources, but the starting early allows you to be in the queue so that we can say yes when you say yes, and we don't have to say, oh, we got to wait till June to figure out if that's even possible. So the starting early really matters a lot.
Yeah, I would echo a lot of what everyone has said. I think one of the key characteristics we're looking for, and all of those things that have been mentioned go into that, is that you're going to be a teachable student. That's really what we are looking for. We'll overlook like, oh, maybe this technical skill they haven't developed yet, but wow, they clearly want to learn. We're going to be able to work on that, and we'll be able to make up that, whatever that deficiency might be, because this student wants to be here and is going to work hard. And in terms of the starting early at App State, it's less about if you don't apply by this date, you might not get in. It's more our best scholarship offers come much earlier. So if that's something that's going to be important to you, the earlier you get your application in, the better the offer. And November 1st for our university-wide scholarships, the more academic-based ones that are offered, November 1st is an important date for us as well up at App. Our music scholarships, I think we're looking at our mid-February audition as being the best opportunity to get scholarships. It doesn't mean you can't audition after that and be accepted, but your best opportunity for money is going to be earlier in the spring.
And we're similar to that. And I think you would agree that in order to be eligible for scholarships, you have to be accepted by the university first. And so if you wait till February thinking like, oh, I'll apply and audition at the same time, you probably will not be able to be matched with a scholarship at that point because we wouldn't have an answer from admissions at that time. So that November 1st is that much more important.
That was going to actually be my next question. So I want to give everybody an opportunity to speak about this. What kind of, Andrew, do you have something?
2 quick comments.
Yes.
The first one, I mentioned earlier that I have this podcast. I interview a bunch of college professors across the United States, and I asked that question about what are you looking for in an audition. The number one answer I've received so far across the board, teachability. That's the thing. The second point is raise your hand if when you walked into your first day as a college freshman, you intended on doing what you're doing now. Okay, that's why teachability is so important. All right, because you don't know where you're going to land. Music as a degree is probably potentially more like that than any other degree. It is an incredibly special, amazing field, but you can have all the ideas of what you want to do, you just don't know. All right, so you've got to be flexible. A lot of what they're saying they're looking for, you're noticing, is actually rather generic. And it's that genericness that's going to enable them to see you as a whole person in terms of potential and not just maybe what you think you want to do when you walk in the door.
Absolutely. I would echo that entirely. I'd like to sum it up in a phrase. Follow the path of open doors. You never know which door will open. I never would have guessed in a million years that I would be a director of a youth orchestra. But here we are. Okay, I would like to give everyone an opportunity to talk about the topic of scholarships because I know it's a really, really important component of the matrix of decision making for students. What scholarship funding is available at your school? What's the process of getting that funding? Alex, you kind of started a little bit on that, but could you just round that out and then we'll come back this way?
Yeah. So at App State, the admissions to the university will automatically give academic-based scholarships based on your GPA and your test scores. And those happen, they have cutoff markers and it's just automatic, you get those. There are additional scholarships through the university academic side that are larger that require an additional application. And those run through financial aid, but a lot of those are just automatic. In the School of Music, your scholarship offer would come based on your audition. So when we hear you audition for the school, we have a rubric and we come up with, and then we award scholarships based on what we hear. And that's a lot of what we see, and it might be, oh, they're a really good player, or it might be that teachability component. We're like, oh, they're gonna be a great student. We want them here at our school. We also have some scholarships available for non-music majors who are string players and want to play in the orchestra. We have $1,000 a year scholarships available, and those are also audition based. And if that's something that interests you, I have some flyers I can give you about that. And you can audition in advance if you want to know before you decide to come to App State that, would I get this scholarship? But you can also, if you come to App State and you audition to join the orchestra, we can also award it when you do your orchestra audition. So, yeah.
Great. So similar to what you heard from App State as well, we have scholarships that are given academically that are tied to that November 1st date. The Honors College is very active on our campus, and so they have honors scholarships. There's also the Levine Scholarship, which there's about 20 of those that they give to freshmen every year that come in. That's just a full ride with a lot of other things that are tied to that. And we find a lot of orchestra students are qualified for those. So I want to encourage you to consider the Levine Scholarship. We, in the Department of Music, have scholarships also for non-major string players. We know the Greers too. And so they have given us some money to award. And between the athletic band opportunities and the music department, over 1/3 of our students in the department are on scholarship, and we award about $120,000 a year in scholarships for students that are coming to study music, or they're non-majors as well. So those are all part of, some are tied to auditions, some are tied to academic standing, and then there's those other ones that are available at the university in the Honors College and scholastically as well.
Nick?
Very good. So, common thread here, when you apply to music schools, you'll probably have academic scholarships that come from the university, and then the Department of Music will probably have its own, bucket of scholarship money. UNCG is the same. We have 81 endowed scholarship funds. Last year we awarded $250,000 in scholarship money to approximately somewhere around 120 new undergraduates. 70% of folks that enrolled received aid from the School of Music, and somewhere around 90% of undergraduate students enrolled received either School of Music aid or academic aid, UNCG aid. So, process very similar. Our final audition date is like the cutoff scholarship date. You have to audition by what this coming year is February 28th to be eligible for scholarship consideration from the School of Music. And our university date, the apply by date for the university is December 1st in order to be guaranteed eligibility for academic aid.
There's a lot of common themes here. ECU is no different than that. For us, there are two major types of aid that potential music majors can receive. The one is through the ECU Honors College. Our deadline is a little bit earlier. Our deadline is October 15th. And so as long as students, seniors, apply to ECU by October 15th, they'll be automatically eligible for the Honors College, and then it comes down to what the GPA and some other academic factors are to go through the process of applying to the Honors College. For us, the Honors College yearly award is $3,750, and for ECU tuition, which tuition is the cost to attend class, that equates to about half of our tuition. ECU tuition and fees combined is $7,400, just north of $7,400. And so I like to say that our Honors College is half your tuition and fees. That doesn't include off-campus housing, that doesn't include meals or transportation or anything along those lines, but just the cost to attend class and attend the university. ECU's Honors College is just north of half of those tuition and fees, and that's a yearly deadline of October 15th. And then we have our School of Music scholarships, and for us, we're probably in the ballpark, closer to the ballpark of Greensboro with our scholarship numbers. Last year we offered just north of $250,000 to just north of 100 incoming freshmen, and we're kind of we're in a little bit of a position where as long as you apply and audition for the School of Music by the end of February, then you'll be eligible for our scholarships, and assuming that you get into the School of Music, we're in a position, we're really fortunate and blessed to be in a position where we'll be able to offer a scholarship through the School of Music. And there's a number of reasons for that, but for us, scholarships range for in-state students anywhere from $1,000 to $8,000, and all that requires is a successful audition into the ECU School of Music. The way that we do our scholarships, and I think my colleagues down here were kind of alluding to this, ours is a little bit different. Pretty much the way that it works is as long as you audition by the end of February at ECU, you'll be eligible for scholarships, and then myself and some of our other faculty and staff will sit down together in March, and we have a nice, fun, long meeting where we go pretty much line by line per student to say we're going to offer them X amount of dollars, and then we notify those students in the middle of March of what their scholarship situation is. So for us, it doesn't matter if you audition in December or if you audition at the end of February on February 28th. You'll be eligible the same across that entire audition season. So for us, the two major avenues for scholarships are the ECU Honors College, and then through being a music major at ECU. And unlike App in Charlotte, to receive a School of Music scholarship at ECU, you do have to be a major in the School of Music. Unfortunately, we're not in a position to offer scholarships to minors or students who play in a select ensemble.
Awesome, thank you. Quick question: how many of you in here in attendance are a student or attached to a student that is involved in a youth orchestra? Okay, basically every hand. Okay, fantastic. So these, on behalf of these students, you're talking to an audience of people who have students that are dedicated to their instrument, but also are above and beyond that, their individual dedication to their instrument. They're participating in the group experience of music, the ensemble component, playing in an orchestra, and are interested in continuing that on to the next step. The transition from high school to college is the single biggest life transition for all of these students so far, up to this point in their lives. And it can be very jarring. What should these students, what would you recommend these students do, or what resources does the university or college have available for students to help transition to college life and involvement in a music department? What looks the same as participating in a youth orchestra, but now it's a college orchestra, and participating in a department of music, taking lessons, things like that? What resources are available to help with that transition for students and maybe put parents a little bit at ease too as they send their kids off to college? Open to whoever would like to answer.
I'll since we're just going down the line and back and forth, I'll start. I would imagine that my answer is going to be similar to what these guys have to say too. I think in the last 10 to 15 years, colleges have gotten really good about understanding that transition and having resources in place to help facilitate that. So I would imagine that a lot of what I'm about to say is probably going to be the same, which is, in my opinion, a testament to the public universities in North Carolina. We offer, or ECU has the Parrott Academic Success Center, which is basically the university-wide tutoring lab. We have the ECU Counseling Center, which has mental health appointments and teletherapy appointments. The School of Music, we bring in a staff member from the Counseling Center every week as like an open door policy for students who need a professional to talk to who's not a music professional but a mental health professional. We have a food pantry for students who are food insecure. our students, all our music students, all live together in what we call a music living learning community, which is basically we just put all the music students in the same dorm and they live together for the first year. So we have all of that kind of stuff. To you students, my best advice to you as you make that transition when you get into college, call your parents, okay? I think it makes a world of difference. I remember when I moved into college and I got a little homesick, and I lived an hour down the road, and I'm an alum of ECU, and I'm from Rocky Mount, which is just 64 East for like an hour. Was just call your parents, and I'm sure parents can attest that, like, yes, when you drop your kid off, like a week later, you want to hear from them too. That's something that I find is a really big tool in just the resources and making sure that mentally you're doing well in college is just making sure that you maintain that foundation with your family, making sure you maintain that relationship. And college can be big and flashy, and now you're in a new environment and there are things to do, and you have all this free time when you're not in the practice room and all that kind of stuff. But on top of all of the actual resources that the university provides, my best advice is just please call your parents. When you move into the dorm, call your parents.
Any follow-up?
Yeah, I'll just add that one of the best things you can do when you go to college to find a sense of community is being in a musical ensemble. There are actually studies that show that retention rates through college are much higher for students involved in music ensembles. It just like with your youth orchestra participation, you're automatically with a group of people you have a common interest with. So it's easy to make friends, it's easy to find a support system. And for people who are majoring in music, I think you are some of the luckiest people on campus because you get one-on-one experiences with a professor every week. So if you are struggling, there's someone you can go to who has that one-on-one connection where some of the other students on campus, they might just be in big gen ed classes with 100 students or 30 students or whatever, and they don't feel that connection. But for music students, there's a lot of support because you have professors who are really invested in you individually as a person. So being in an ensemble and taking private lessons are wonderful support systems.
I 100% agree. As a person who moved for school from another continent, I think my orchestra friends and my chamber music colleagues, they became kind of my family, and you have that support system right there.
Awesome.
I totally agree. One thing that you'll probably notice going from this life stage to being around music in the university level is that in addition to the friendships you'll have in your ensembles, you'll discover that the things you used to do for fun, you actually get credit for. And that's a weird thing. The things that you used to do, like before school, after school, we have classes for those. And so in some ways, it becomes a little more regular than sort of chaotic. And so just know that the curriculum is designed to help you with that. And the things that you used to think like, man, I wish I had time to, there's actually a class for that. And so you'll plug in and try to get credit for that type of thing, and you will get credit for that. So think about it that way. The other thing I think a lot of my colleagues would say that they have this too is that in addition to the one-on-one time with faculty, we have professional advisors that are really clued into the curriculum and really clued into what students need. And it's every day that as chair, I'm receiving a conversation from an advisor that says, you know, this student just might need a little bit of support here. What can we do? What can we do? And we want everyone to be successful. And so those are conversations that take place regularly. And it's not in a gossipy way. It's in a how can we help this person get what they need to be successful. And so the majority of my day actually is spent helping people plug into resources that can help make them who they want to be on the campus at any given time.
Fantastic. Any follow-up there?
Yeah, just wanted to mention one thing, and I think it's probably standard between all of our institutions, but perhaps not. Going back to the curriculum thing, there is a course built into all of our degree programs called like some version of first year experience, where you know, some of the assignments are like, find the dining hall on campus. Where is Fountain View? Take a picture outside of Grogan Dorm, right? And that's just to help students familiarize themselves with campus, you know, go outside, get some vitamins, learn, where they are. And I will say, one of the best things for incoming students is when they can live around the people that they're going to be around. And at UNCG, we have what's called Studio 91, which is our arts dorm, which is about 150 feet away from the music building. So students, they get up late and they have 15 minutes before they need to be at class. So they brush their teeth and they get their clothes on. They can be at the music building in 5 or 10 minutes. So, or they are like, I need to start my day with practice. Well, the arts dorms have practice rooms in the dorm, right? So they don't actually have, when it's raining and hurricaning outside, they don't have to walk the 150 feet to the music building. So that's one way that students have really said that they, build a community is by living in the arts dorms on campus.
So we've talked a lot about the transition from high school to college, what students need to do to prepare for that. Now let's talk about beyond that, because college is just the next step, but it is not the end destination, unless you're going to be a surgeon, then you spend forever in school. Before we move on to that, I see Andrew has one quick question for the
Sorry, again, one quick comment. Don't forget the idea was about this transition from high school into college, which is a very, very difficult transition. You notice at some point all of them commented on some sort of support network. And I think what's inside of that is the knowledge that is in front of you, knowing how challenging, specifically music, a music degree is going to be for your children. So for the students that are sitting here listening, is it like, am I actually going to need that? I remember thinking that question to myself, is it actually going to be that hard? The answer is yes. And I will share one quick statistic from my own experience. Of all the students that have graduated out of my studio at Davidson, what percentage would you guess have had a full-on crying meltdown? Like maximum stress, cannot even function as a human anymore in their lessons at some point in that 4 years. 100% is the answer. 100%. So I'm glad that they're talking about this studio relationship that you're going to have with your teacher, because that's going to be of paramount importance. It really, really will be. So have a long think about who you would want sitting across from your child when that inevitably happens.
And if I can just jump in on that last note, and I know these guys will all agree to this, when we talk about getting ahead of the game and doing this stuff early, that's the exact reason why. Is because for you guys as students, if you go to major in music, it's a lot easier to have that relationship with your studio teacher if you already have that relationship with your studio teacher. And so sometimes, when we say get ahead of the game, or when general college admissions people say get ahead of the game, that might mean, apply to the university early. But for us as musicians, that also means go take a lesson with that applied instructor. Go take a lesson, because it's you might get into that room with that person and realize that they don't have the skills to have that relationship. Or maybe they do, and then that becomes a really positive thing. But it's a lot easier, and your college experience becomes a lot better if you know that before you pay X amount of dollars to go to that institution.
Fantastic. Yeah, that was going to be a question, but I feel like it would be redundant, so I was going to move on from it. But if at all possible, once you have acceptance to the university, or if you have your eye on a short list, taking the time to go take a lesson with your applied instructor, people do, that's just like an industry standard, even if that requires a transcontinental plane flight. It's better to pay for the $1,000 plane ticket before you commit to student loans.
And often in the junior year, before the senior year, you might want to go and just help yourself narrow down your choices. And as Andrew said, just like the person you're going to be sitting across from, and really in a lot of ways, the person whose voice will be coming out of your voice when you're teaching music later. That's the person that you want to think about who's going to be in your musical mind for the rest of your life. Is the way some of that stuff is. And it may not always be the person with the quote biggest reputation. It might be the person with whom you have a personal connection, and they feel like they'll take you along for the ride and help you then launch into the career that you want to have. And just think of beyond the lesson, the kind of questions you want to ask them, that you might want to just see how they respond to maybe some challenging questions. rather than, do you think I'm good enough? Can I get in? It's more than that. Ask them questions and see how they respond to some of those awkward, maybe kind of questions. And if they get uncomfortable, then maybe they're not for you. But if they really take it with a sense of curiosity, a sense of openness, I think there could be a future there.
Fantastic. I'm going to ask one final question of my own, and then after that we'll transition to an audience Q&A. How we'll go about that is if you would just like to raise your hand. But if you want to start thinking about putting together the questions, if you have any, now would be the time to do so. But while you're thinking about that, I have one final question to ask, again, open to the entire panel. What kinds of career preparation or networking opportunities does your program or do your programs offer? And what resources are available to students to help them transition beyond college into either postgraduate study or a career in music? Open to whoever would like to go first.
I guess I'll start. If you don't mind, then we'll pass it along. And it could be that there'll be a similar answer from most of us, but there are internship opportunities at Charlotte where students can propose a program at any point in their career and say, I think I'd like to explore this, and then we'll find a way to work with a community business partner or a nonprofit or something to help someone develop that experience that they have in mind. And so that can happen at the 2,000, the lower level, or at the 4,000 level. It's required for some of our degrees, but then it's an option for other degrees. So that's a nice elective that is available for folks to do. We have a career center that's really active with bringing in guests and lectures and people, how do you have a career in that? And they have a sort of a weekly thing. One thing they have that I think is really nice and perhaps unique to Charlotte, but they have the Belk stores have donated professional clothing in a closet, and perhaps that might be all across all the UNC system. But if a student's taking an interview, they can go and they can try on clothes, and they can keep them even after that, just so they can appear professionally in those different situations. So that's a sort of an unspoken but a really nice sort of handoff into the professional world that we offer beyond the workshops. And then of course our faculty and our advisors that are very engaged in helping people find experiences and helping them find the things that might best be their next step. And that comes from having that relationship with the faculty, that they know you and they know what might be best. And I would just say that next step often is not recognizable as you're moving from an undergraduate degree in music. And I think of them as sort of a 5-year trajectory after your time in music, where you'll be aiming in a direction, and at first you'll be taking jobs that you might have 20% of what you're doing in music, and 80% is going to be paying the bills. And then over that 5-year period of time, you want to switch that formula so that you're able to say no to a lot more things and you're able to say yes to a lot more musical things. But just know that that's, unless you're going to go straight into a teaching position, which is and most of us could say that we have 100% placement rate with teachers. Teachers are needed, and all of our institutions prepare teachers extremely well. But not everyone is preparing on that track. And so then if you're not on that track, just know that you'll be on a path of flexibility, and it's going to be one of just sort of ratcheting the choices more towards music and less towards what you don't want to be doing, but just be open to whatever comes. The path of open doors, I think, right, as you said.
Yeah, similarly, internships are a big part of many of our degree programs. Certainly music education, our music therapy students have an internship, and our MIS students, music industry studies, all complete required internships as part of their degree. For our performance majors, we have courses in the degree program that help them with kind of the entrepreneurial side of how they're going to put together a career. Our faculty is also really good about bringing in guests to speak to the students about different career paths and how to go about accomplishing those career goals. And then the network that our faculty has established with other professionals then to help connect our students with that. So similar types of ideas.
Fantastic.
Yeah, one of the major benefits of being a large institution like most of us are here is that the alumni base is where you can point to where a lot of opportunities do come from having familiarity with people that also went to school where you went to school, right? So for all these institutions up here, we're all pretty large schools. So the alumni base, I mean, the amount of opportunities that I've gotten just to come work with a marching band for a couple of weeks, or come, do a master class at a school, just because I knew X from summer music camp. I mean, those are the opportunities that you're going to want to take advantage of, because those are the ones that are going to propel you in the shift from student to professional.
Yeah, and I think continuing off of that note, for you students, putting yourselves out there, not being afraid, getting out of the practice room, getting out of the classroom. I think we all want to strive to be the best performers that we can be, and do all that kind of stuff. But where you're going to get most of your work is by knowing other people, and so not just your absolutely your alumni network, but also going to conferences. I'll see all of these people at NCYO next month, and that's probably the biggest music conference in the state, in Winston-Salem, and alumni networks are involved in that, and there are presenters and people talking about their research and talking about building their careers. I believe NCYO even has a young professionals network. So really putting yourselves out there, and to the parents, this is where a music degree can be really profound and really powerful. Is it forces the students to get out of the practice room, because being in a practice room can be easy, right? Like yes, the art form is challenging, but putting yourself out there and building your brand and building your reputation, so that way other alumni notice you as a student and notice you as a burgeoning young professional, and then say, yeah, I want to call that person to do the marching band camp, or to do the string master class, or whatever. Putting yourself out there and being a music major forces you to have to do that. It forces you to have to go into an environment that you might be uncomfortable with, and that's where the open door stuff comes, right? Like that's where Andrew asked the question about is this what we thought we would be doing? And the answer is no, but it's, we all saw that open door and said, yeah, I want to do that, or that looks interesting, I want to do that. And now we're in this position. So just putting yourself out there and attending conferences and being active in your community with your alumni network is something really important and really powerful, especially transitioning out of the college degree program.
Awesome, thank you, panel. I'd like to open the time now, the rest of the time that we have, to an audience Q&A. So if anyone has a question, right here, fantastic.
Yeah, so obviously this is new to me, but like college visits, right? So, do you start that when you're sophomores, juniors? And then how do you go about doing it? Do you email the university and say, hey, I'm a player, I want to, come and check out the university. How do you do that? And then also, when you say apply early, what's the earliest you can apply? Can you apply when you're a junior? Or, those are kind of things that, I don't remember.
Those are great questions. I'll start, if you don't mind. There's lots of points of contact, and they often lead to the same place when you want to visit. But I would start initially by just looking at the admissions office, and there's usually a way to schedule a campus tour. And that's kind of low stakes entry. So maybe you could either sophomore or junior year narrow down some campuses you might want to visit, and maybe just do a tour. After you've got a tour date and time established, you might reach out to the School of Music and just ask, is there someone with whom I might meet to explore some questions we have specifically about the music degree. There also could be, I know there is at Charlotte, there likely is at the other institutions, lists of specific days where there's an open house opportunity and you'd have every department that's available on campus would have someone available to answer questions. And those are often really nice days if you're not sure between 3 or 4 majors, where you can not only visit campus, but maybe then also visit those places without having to need specific appointments, because they'll be like between 9 and 1. That day you can just go between any department you'd like and visit around. So those would be like the low stakes way of doing it. And then after you've narrowed it down to maybe 2 or 3 schools, you might want to then schedule those trial lessons with potential teachers with whom your student might be working, and then kind of go from there, I would say. And probably early application, not before the end of their junior year, I would say.
probably in August of their senior year.
Yeah.
And I will say, when you start narrowing down more, a lot of schools will have specific things for different majors. Like I know we have something called a Student for a Day program, where you can come and spend a day visiting classes, and you get an individual schedule for you based on what instrument you play, what your potential degree program would be. We include a free lesson with a faculty member as part of that. So that's that trial lesson right there taken care of. Sit in and play in an ensemble, attend some classes, get a taste of what it would be like to have that major on campus. And I'm sure there might be some similar programs as well at the other institutions. So I think that's a really good idea. Start with the broader admissions to the university opportunities and then narrow it in with more specific schools.
Particularly if you're thinking of a double major or something, you can just get an idea of the flexibility the school has for those things.
Fantastic. Next question, Elena.
So you just mentioned double majors and how flexible they are. How do y'all's institutions, how do you approach those? For example, I'm interested in a double major in music performance and biomedical engineering, or bioengineering, depending on the majors you offer. How forgiving are your institutions about that to stay on a 4 or 5 year track of progression?
I can start. So at East Carolina, the way that we handle double majors is I can pretty much tell you that you're going to need to be thinking about staying in college longer than 4 years. Unfortunately for us, even with a music performance degree, unfortunately that's just kind of a non-starter, especially with a degree program as intense as biomedical engineering or anything really in our medical campus. With what the music curriculum is, with what the medical curriculum is, or honestly in any other curriculum, if you want to do it less than 5 years, then you're really getting into the area of taking 20 credit hours a semester, 21 credit hours, and that's a really miserable time. And then you start running into questions about, or you start running into topics of am I actually getting the education that I want because I'm so swamped with schoolwork, right? And so I think, that's where I would also want to have the conversation with you about which degree program are you comfortable being here longer than 4 years? Are you comfortable being here 5 years? I was a 5-year college graduate. There's no shame in that. But are you comfortable being in college longer than 4 years? If finances aren't a consideration, I would also bring up the music minor, because at ECU the music minor still allows you to do all the fun stuff that the music major does, just without the investment into the 4 music theories and 4 oral skills and 3 music histories and all of that kind of stuff, but it still allows you to take lessons, it still allows you to play in ensembles and be in the music school to as much as you want, while still then also pursuing your medical degree program. The one thing I mentioned about the financial consideration, I mentioned this earlier at ECU, we're not able to offer scholarships to non-music majors. And so if finances and financial aid is something that you have to really be thinking about, then yeah, we should definitely talk about a double major. Just because that's when music scholarships can come into play. But that's speaking just on for ECU. That's how we would handle that's how we do handle double major situations.
And I'll just add, if you're considering that type of path, you have a few levers to think about that you could activate even now, and that would be the community college system offers an opportunity for you to take a lot of your general education courses before you even get to campus. And so that's typically about 36 credits of 120 credits. You could maybe take care of those either through AP testing or through some other courses that you might have taken at community college. You can have those in your back pocket, and then that makes a double major a little more flexible for you because you don't have the 36 credits that you'd have to take when you're on campus. So that might get your 5 years down to 4 years potentially, but then also you might want to think about the levers of switching to a minor in one of those, or where a credential is going to be more important to you. So depending, and the nice thing is to enter into your college curricula journey with the idea of both are very viable for me. And then there's going to become a point when probably you'll know which one needs to lead and which one needs to take kind of a back seat. And then there's probably a minor in either one of those areas. And so then if 4 years is important to you, you might want to consider a minor in one of those areas and downshifting, that's a lever. Or if both of them are equally important, plow ahead, but know that it might take longer. And I will say that like the 20 credit per semester thing, it's almost a guarantee of like burnout and not learning a lot. And so you want to give yourself that space to have the time to actually absorb what you're learning. It's more in college the time when you're not in class that you're absorbing than the stuff when you're actually there. In high school, it's a lot more of if you're in there, they're telling you everything you need to know, you memorize that, and you do the test. College is a lot more about how do I absorb this, how do I return this information, how do I synthesize this in a way that's meaningful to me, and that's what you're going to be graded on, and that's what you'll remember more. So often the time out of class is more important than the time in. So you want to think about those as some of your levers as well.
I would also say that if you're looking at double majoring, it really depends which two majors you're trying to pair together. It becomes very individual to what you're doing. So working with an advisor from the very beginning to chart out that path, because often whether or not you can do it, maybe you can do it in 4 years, depending on which two majors it is. Maybe it's going to be 4.5, maybe it's 5. But planning out specifically, it's often, no, you have to take this course this semester in order to make that timeline. So really knowing what your plan is from the beginning and talking with advisors, and I'm sure all of our institutions have great advisors who can help you make a plan like that.
And they can also tell you which courses are high demand courses,
yeah,
and which one you need to take it in this semester, otherwise you'll be way off track. And so they're really good at that type of thing.
And you can actually, I would assume this is the same for all of us, you can actually go ahead and be planning that stuff, you know, in advance. Most of our institutions, if not all, are going to have a catalog on the website, which has a program and a curriculum. It might not have a schedule, you know, for like when the courses are offered and what semester you might be taking them in. But you can at least look at what the requirements are, compare them, see how many of the elective credits you can marry in between the two curriculums. So you can go ahead and be thinking about some of that, but definitely getting with an advisor ASAP.
Thank you. We're running out of time, but I would like to allow for some more time here. Go ahead.
For someone who might be considering a major, for example, in composition, which, you know, obviously there's no audition for that, is a portfolio expected?
Mm-hmm.
And how robust should a portfolio be?
If I can jump in, because these guys all said yes, and we're different. For ECU, we still have students audition on their primary instrument.
Same.
Okay.
Same.
Okay. We don't ask for a portfolio right away. For us, and I would imagine it's probably the same. For all of our majors at ECU, once you get past the sophomore year, we have what's called a barrier exam or a barrier jury into what's called upper division. And upper division is your junior and senior level coursework where you take your degree program specific classes. For education students, this is when they really get into their observations, they really get into their internship. For our music therapy students, that's when they start doing their practicums. For composition students, that's when they start taking more advanced theories, and that's when they start taking more, the way I like to say it is heavier composition lessons. And so, but to actually get into the university or into the School of Music, we don't require our composition students to have a portfolio. They'll build that in their college career, especially in their first 2 years for when they have to get into upper division, which our barrier exam for composition students does require a portfolio, but they'll have already built that in their first 2 years, which all then leads into their senior composition recital and then potentially further if they want to pursue a graduate degree or something like that. But for us, we don't require an actual portfolio to enter into the School of Music.
So, I think all of us nodded that yes, you have to audition on your primary instrument. You'll continue taking lessons on your primary instrument even as a composition major. And I think using the term portfolio sounds big and scary. It's not so big and scary, at least for us. It's certainly not. We just want to see some evidence that you've been composing. It doesn't have to be, oh, I completed this symphony and had it performed by the Charlotte Symphony, and it's all, no. But that you are exploring this outlet of creativity and that there's you're showing potential in it.
ECU doesn't offer anything for music minor. Does any of the other universities offer any scholarship at all for the music minors? The second part of my question is, from the alumni that you have seen so far, why there is a gap between the academic music and commercial music? So not all of them are taking any or participating in the commercial music side as a big hit or big albums or something like this. I know they are all academically so strong in their knowledge, but I see that gap in transitioning from the academic pathway to the commercial pathway. So how do the kids can manage that? Sorry, 2 questions.
I mean, we're addressing that at Charlotte with an arts entrepreneurship certificate that sits between degrees. It sits between the business school and the College of Arts and Architecture, where students who are entrepreneurially interested or commercially interested gather together, and they have a little cohort of people, and they're working on sort of anything commercial often happens in the gap that you're describing. And so we're trying to fill that gap with people so they can talk about ideas and try things, and then perhaps build an internship around that to bring something to market.
And
something like that.
we actually do have a degree that does focus on those. We have the music industry studies major, so you are within the School of Music and you are a full part of everything that's going on. Performance-wise, you're taking lessons, you're taking theory courses and all of that, and taking industry courses. And so if that's the direction of interest for you, you're gonna get that foundation of a great music degree and also all of those other possibilities. And it's also one of, I think, the strengths of our program that we have that in-house. So our students who aren't majoring in that have the ability to be part of that world, be part of recording projects, see what that's like. Because our majors in recording and production, they need to do projects, and they'll take their friends who are maybe a performance or an ed major, they'll get to spend some time in the studio and see what that experience is like.
And I think what I understand, App and Charlotte both have scholarships for minors.
Yeah.
And the minors can do the entrepreneurship credits as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as a someone who went in as a music major, performance degree, who wanted to become a performer, who became a performer, I think one thing that's really important to understand, and you'll piece it together if you start listening to how all of these degree programs are built. Take the composition, for example. You're not going to go and be a composer and not be an outstanding instrumentalist. You cannot separate those two entities. The core of what you do as a musician comes from your own personal struggle, if you will, with improving at the instrument. Everything that you'll build in terms of relation to music, that will be your avenue. And for me, nowhere is that more clear than like someone who wants to be a conductor. And it's like there is no value in. No one's going to pay to watch that when it makes no sound, right? So they're outstanding musicians because of what they learned on their instrument. So the idea that you might be a commercial player or a classical player or something, those are very thin lines. I mean, even in the Charlotte Symphony, we play an unbelievable quantity of what we do, all of our pop shows and things. Like, is that commercial? Is that different than what we usually do? The expectation is certainly you're not one or the other. You are either an excellent musician or you are not. And if you're excellent, you do whatever you want. Wynton Marsalis is a beautiful example of that. But the music entrepreneurship, that's where it becomes key. This is a mentality. It's a development of one's confidence and skill set and how you promote. Like, that's the difference. But the core of it, in terms of your value, will always be who you are as a musician.
When it comes to auditions, I know you said early is better and that type of thing. What's too little and what's too many when it comes to auditions, especially if you're considering some pretty prestigious schools that are harder to get into? And like for you, maybe, like, so are they only done during senior year, or could you potentially do some auditions beforehand? And how many should you do, and what's too many?
I'll start. I'll give an example that happened last year at ECU. We had a vocal student who we were one of 11 schools that she was applying to. That is too many. And I think, if I remember my conversation with that student, we were the only in-state school. They were from the Triangle region, We were the only in-state school. All other 10 schools were Michigan, Indiana, Vanderbilt, Eastman, like your top list, and then at the bottom, number 11 was ECU. And for me, as the person who handles our auditions, internally, I'm asking myself, why are you doing that? Like if we are the only in-state school that you're looking at, to be quite honest, why? That's a lot of money just in application fees alone. So for me personally, and what I advise the parents that I'm in contact with and the students that I'm in contact with is I think a healthy number is anywhere between, I would say 2 and 5. I think that's a broad enough range for your student to have 1 or 2 reach schools. Maybe they want to audition at Juilliard. Maybe they want to audition at Manhattan or Oberlin. But then also to have a couple backups. Also to have, I'm not ashamed to say this, maybe you have an East Carolina as one of your 5, as a quote unquote backup. But also that, maybe that number is actually 3, or maybe that number is 2. Maybe they've fallen in love with App State and Charlotte, and they want to be on the western side of the state, and they know that one of those 2 schools is where they're going to end up, and there's no reason to do anything more. I think, especially at the undergraduate level, kind of having a smaller list is probably going to be best, just because application fees are expensive, and traveling to all these auditions is expensive, and especially if they already have, we've been talking about relationships, especially if they already have that relationship with that applied instructor, then, trust in that relationship, and that's probably going to end up being a good thing.
And you only audition with seniors?
I'm sorry, say that again?
You only audition with seniors?
Yes, yeah.
Hey, I'm
Last question.
Last question. My name is April Dunn. I'm the Director of Finance for the North County Youth Orchestra. My daughter, Lucy, is a junior, and she played for 11 seasons with the organization. And one of the things that we found out, and even though she didn't decide till her second semester senior year that she wanted to major in music, she had started making the relationships with the people that were decision makers in the university for sophomore year. The universities will have road shows, they will have student days, they will have, you need to go to the mailing list for all the in-state universities. You need to be making friends with the faculty, you need to have your students writing thank you notes where the faculty pays with their own time for their lesson. Make your student sticky with the professors and with the administration. That is huge. When they walk into that audition, they're already a known entity, they've already shown their work ethic, they've already shown that they care, and they appreciate the time that's been given to them. And it's amazing. And they're familiar. It's a whole better situation when you're looking at someone that you've known for a couple of years, that you're playing in front of, versus someone you've never met. So take advantage of these opportunities that these schools will give you for free, a lot of them, and some of them might be at low cost. Take advantage of that too. Even if you're not interested in the school, say, this is an opportunity for my child to get a different perspective from an instructor. Take advantage of it.
Awesome.
Right, to follow that up, another great way, as an applied professor, summer camps are a great way to get your kids connected with the teacher. Most of those teachers from those schools we teach in summer camps, and your kid can go and work with the teacher for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Every camp has a different duration. And that's, not only we can get to know your kid, but your kid will also be able to tell, do I really want to study with this person for 4 years? Because it's a big decision.
That's a perfect segue. We are going to wrap up today's event, but our next Backstage with NCYO event will actually be all about summer camps and festivals, and that's going to be November 22nd, Saturday, November 22nd, and it will also be on this property, just one building over, and that'll be more of like a fair format. Each summer festival will have a table, you'll be able to talk to a representative there, get some information, and of course have Q&A as well. I would greatly encourage you to mark your calendars now to be in attendance so you can find out some more information about those really life-changing opportunities where we get to synergize between all these different organizations. I know of at least 3 different youth orchestras that have representation here in this room alone. And so many times we segment, right? And YOC does their thing, CSYO does their thing, NCYO does their thing. But during summer, all the walls come down and we get to have a big party together. And it's a great opportunity to meet some new musicians, to meet some new professors from different universities. I can say all of the colleges up here we've had either student or faculty representation from. At the summer festival that we operate, we just had our second year, the Carolina Youth Orchestra Summer Festival, hosted at Davidson. And so these are fantastic opportunities. So to find out more about those, please join us on November 22nd. If you have more questions for our panel, I'm sure they would love to hang out for a few minutes. They drove for some of them 3 hours. They probably would be fine taking a few more minutes to answer some questions for you and would probably jump at the opportunity. So by all means, do not feel like you are being pushed out the door. Hang out for a while, meet some people, talk to some people, ask some questions if you would like. Again, thank you so much for coming today. We look forward to seeing you very soon and have a great weekend.